So our first session this morning will provide general information to producers who are interested in learning more about certifying their operations. It will provide an overview of the Canada Organic Standards, general management principles, prohibited substances, certification requirements, labeling and seal usage, and more as it relates to organic vegetable production. So I would like to welcome Nicole Boudreau. She's a biologist and coordinator of the Organic Federation of Canada since 2007. She manages the review and interpretation of the Canadian Organic Standard and the Organic Science Cluster 3 project, moving on to 4, which includes 27 research activities in organic agriculture across Canada. Her motivation to make organic agriculture easy to understand and apply. Phew, thank you, Nicole, for being here. Over to you. And I'm on mute. Sorry, Nicole, you're on mute. There we go.
Okay, again, thank you, Marla, for the introduction. So I am presenting an introduction to the certification planet, to the organic planet, how to get certified, what is the system behind certification, what are the main documents you have to have on your table before you sleep. So I am from Montreal, as you can hear probably from my accent. I've been involved in the organic sector since 2005. So I pretend I know a little, but there's so much to know. Before I start my presentation, I have to say that I know there is a big Ukrainian community in the prairies, and I would like you to know that in Quebec, we feel so sorry for what is happening. So I don't want to turn into politics, but I think it is a terrible time. So we will start the presentation sharing my screen. So today I decided to do the presentation using the organic website of the Organic Federation of Canada, because you will hear a lot of information that maybe you're not aware of, and so you will know where to go to refer to if you want to see, if you want to check back what you heard and get access to some of the documents that we are sharing. So the first thing you have to know is that organic is regulated. There are brands that you can, there are claims that you can read on labels, such as natural. Natural is not regulated. Everybody can put natural on the label. For organic, it is different. It is regulated. So we will first see the regulatory background that drives organic certification and organic labeling. So we are on the website. So you have a submenu here. So I'm going to Organic Canada, where you can find a lot of information about the regulatory system. So under this page, we have collected all the a lot of information that you can use when you want to be certified and to know everything all the information that you need. So we will start with the Canada Organic Regime Operating Manual. So the Canada in Canada there is what is called the Canada Organic Regime. It is managed by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. So the Canadian Food Inspection Agency has created a page on its website that you can see now that is called Organic Products. So we will surf rapidly over this page, but the first thing I would like you to see is that organic is regulated under the regulation that is called the Safe Food for Canadians regulation. Maybe you heard that name. So this inside this huge regulation, there is a part that is part 13 here called organic products. So um, we, we won't read this. I just want you to visualize where the laws and the regulations are. It helps you understand the seriousness of organic business. And in this section, organic products, it details the rules that are to be applied when certification is conducted on operations. And it also references the Canadian organic standards as the reference, the ultimate applicable standards for operators who want to be certified. So we'll go back to organic products. So this is where you can find the safe food. Now, if we scroll down on this website, you will hear many information about the Canada organic regime. I think what you need to know if you would like to become certified, you know, if a guy comes to your door in a red Cadillac and wanting to sell you an organic certificate, don't buy it. It's more complicated than that. An organic certified operation is certified by a certification body that is accredited by CFIA. So CFIA audits the certification bodies to ensure that they follow the rules, that they certify operators in the correct way, that they really verify that the operator has applied the Canadian organic standards on his or her farm. So if you're looking for a certification body, you have to go on that list, certification bodies providing organic certification services under the Canada Organic Regime. And the full list of certification bodies is here. So if you want, and what is interesting also is that many of these certification bodies, many are in Canada. It's always, I think, better to work with a CB certification body, a CB, that is the acronym that you will see all the time. And these CBs, they have the list of their organic of the certified operations that they monitor, that they supervise. So if you are, let's go, for example, in Saskatchewan, we have ProCert in Saskatchewan here. So you have the list of all the certified operators by ProCert. And it is interesting to read because in Quebec, we did a study a few years ago, and we always hear that you will get certified if you know someone who is certified. You know, the peer support is very important. So if you want to look to find other certified vegetable producers, maybe it's a good resource, because it's good to have support amongst your peers. So once you, and also when you will decide to get certified, your certification body will have to visit you 1 year before your product is labeled as organic, because they visit you in advance to make sure that you follow the rules and that you are you are taking the good approach. So all of these of the certification world is described in details in the manual of operation of the Canada Organic Regime. So if you want, you can go there. You can read how how the certification bodies are accredited. And you can also read what is more interesting at the operator level, certification of organic product and CB requirements. So they explain how the certification is verified on your operation. you have a visit from a verification officer. It also describes if you have you don't agree with the decision made by a certification body, that there is a way to lodge a complaint or an appeal. So the details about the certification exercise are described there. Another aspect of the Canada organic regime that I would like to bring to your attention is the equivalency arrangements. So if you are if you want to grow a big business and you would like to export organic vegetable, there are equivalency agreements between Canada and many other jurisdictions such as Costa Rica, the EU, Japan, Switzerland, Taiwan, United Kingdom, and United States. So it means that if you are a certified operator in Canada, you can export your product to United States with the organic label and with the Canada Organic logo. So it opens the market for your production. The reverse side is that it means that a vegetable producer in United States can export his broccoli in Canada with the organic seal, with the organic label, even the organic logo. And so it is a two-way equivalency. There is a market for organic vegetable. We import a lot more vegetable than we grow. So it is our chance to grow our vegetable production and to reduce import in Canada from other countries. So all of this being said, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, the scope of their regulation is on the products that are sold between provinces and the products that are imported, exported outside and inside of Canada. So because agriculture is a shared jurisdiction, so part of the food labeling system is managed by Ottawa, by the federal government, with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. And as I said, it concerns products that will cross provincial borders or cross the country borders. Now, inside the province, it is different. It means that local organic production is ruled by the provincial government. So if you are growing organic vegetable, you will sell them inside Saskatchewan or inside Alberta. You are under the regulation of Saskatchewan or under the regulation of Alberta. In Alberta, there are rules to impose certification of any vegetable labeled as organic, produced and sold inside Alberta. It is different in Saskatchewan. In Saskatchewan, inside the province, if you grow and sell your product inside the province, the certification is not specifically mandatory. But now that the system is so developed everywhere, and because you have we are building consumer trust, it is highly recommended that you have your production certified by an accredited certifying body. So all this system that I briefly described to you is based on one document. These are the Canadian Organic Standards. The Canadian Organic Standards that I will now describe are referenced, as I said, by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and we will go back to our standards. So if you go on the website, you will see standards here, Canadian Organic Standards. Click and then you can see what these documents are. So because my internet is a little slow, I will switch to the PDF, but before going there, so the organic standards define ecological practices to be followed by organic operators, and they are composed of 2 documents. The first document is named General Principles and Management Standards. The second document is called Permitted Substances List. So this is what we will look at now. So the first document is named, whoops, sorry, I will do, I have to reduce my image because it disturbs me. Okay, well, we will have a better vision. So this is the first document, General Principles and Management Standards. The standards are owned by the Canadian General Standards Board. They are not owned by the organic industry. But the organic industry decides what are the practice.
Sorry to interrupt, Nicole. We're still seeing your website, seeing the website and not your PDF.
Funny. Oh, you're not seeing my PDF?
Are you using 2 screens?
No.
Maybe share and share and unshare your screen sometimes.
Oh, interesting. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Share.
There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
No, sorry. So this is the Bible. This is the base of the standards. So the standards are owned by CGSB, as I said, but the sector decides on the content. So the CGSB has created a committee, the Committee on Organic Agriculture, and these people, every 5 years, they sit together to decide on the content, on the practices that will be incorporated inside the standards. So the CGSB requires to have people from every province. And then, so at the in the first pages of the standard, you will read who are the voting members who will decide on the content of the organic standards. So this review process is done every 5 years. If we don't revise the standard every 5 years, CGSB will send the standards to archives. So the review is important. And when it is, this copy of the standard was published in 2020, December 2020. So in December 2025, in 5 years from now, we will have to have prepared and revised this standard. So the standards are easy to consult. We have the scope, but the portion of the standards that are interesting for us this morning is section 5 that you see here about crop production. So in this portion, you have all the directives and the clauses that you have to abide to have when this is what the verification officer will verify when visiting your farm. But there are a few things that you have to know before. The principles of the organic standards are principles that we can see here are principle of health of soil, plants, animals, humans, and the planet, principle of ecology, based on living ecological systems and cycles, the principle of care, that organic agriculture should be managed in a precautionary and responsible manner to protect the health and well-being of current and future generations and the environment, and principle of fairness. I'm citing these principles because they are the basis, the international basis of organic standards in all of the countries. This is because when there is equivalency, it means that the principles and the practices are equivalent. So the big thing to read when you start looking at the standard, and it is right at the top of the standard in section 1, you have 2 big clauses that that are overseeing, that are, or that dictate the rest of the whole standards. They start so these are 1.4, prohibited materials or techniques in organic production and preparation, and 1.5, prohibited substances in organic production and preparation. I know it looks prohibitive when you look at this, but you will see that the second document of the standards are the list of permitted substances list. So it's not all negative here, but it was important to put in this section the clause describing what is prohibited in organic production, such as genetic engineering. It is only allowed for vaccines in livestock because, organic producers could not find vaccines not derived from the GE industry. Nanotechnology is also a technique that is prohibited. Irradiation, some types of irradiation, not all the types. Cloned livestock and its descendants, and equipment, harvest, or storage containers, storage facilities, or packaging materials treated with fungicides, preservatives, fumigants, and pesticides. So and then prohibited substances. Well, it globally describes that if the substance is not listed in the permitted substances list that we will see in a few minutes, you cannot use them. So when you read soil amendments such as fertilizer or composted plant or animal material that contain a substance not listed in CAN CGSB 32311, it is the CGSB number of permitted substances list. So if you want, so you have section 3. If you want to get familiar with the organic vocabulary, you can consult this. And then we'll go to one of the first important clause that you have to read. This is about the organic plan. If you want to be certified, you need to have written down how you will manage your operation. And not only how you will manage your operation, but also the quantity of your production system, because your certification body will verify if what you sell is proportional to what you produce. So you have to describe practices, but also the outcomes from your practices. And also, you will see that record keeping and identification is extremely important, because your verification officer will visit you every year. And sometimes also there can be unexpected visits. So record keeping is key. We know that organic farmers, sometimes they say, oh, record keeping is, it takes time. But finally, after after some years, they discover that it helps them so much to manage their operation, and that finally it is really a great tool. About the organic plan, there are templates. You don't have to worry. You don't have to reinvent the wheel and create an organic plan. You can, but there are templates, and also templates also for record keeping. That is a key of when you are certified. Then we will switch to organic crop production. I will just show a few important clauses here that you have to be aware of. If you buy a land that was cultivated in a conventional way, it takes 3 years before your land you can grow certified organic vegetable on this land. This 3-year transition is necessary to have all pesticides, destroyed by microorganisms, and the land has to clean itself. So you have to wait 3 years unless you can prove with for example, with an affidavit that there was no pesticide, there was no chemicals used on this land for the last 3 years. You also have to know that what we call parallel production is prohibited. So if you are considering converting, transitioning to organics, you cannot grow, for example, organic broccoli and non-organic broccoli on in your production unit, because there is a strong commingling would be easy, and also it is to prevent fraud. You can grow organic broccoli and non-organic spinach, for example, because it is visually distinguishable, but you still have to show that in your storage, for example, and the containers, you don't use the same containers for the spinach and for the organic broccoli. There are a few exceptions to this parallel production, such as if you have been a certified operator for many years, then it can be for more than you can add sorry, I missed annual crop harvested during the final 24 months of the transition when fields are added to an existing operation. Also, if you have perennial crops already planted, or in agricultural research facilities, or in production of seed vegetative propagating material and transplants. So parallel production is important. And yeah, so we will now switch to seeds, sorry, to environmental factors. What you need to know here mainly, there are many subclauses, but when you have a certified field, you need a buffer zone, because if your neighbor is growing conventional crops, then there is a minimum of an 8-meter buffer where on this buffer, if you grow vegetable, you cannot label them as organic. It is to protect your crops from contamination. But if you have no neighbors doing conventional agriculture around you, then you can discuss with your certification body. Sometimes the 8-meter buffer zone would not be necessary. It could be a case-by-case situation. It is harder when you grow field crops because, especially in the prairies, cross-pollination with corn, soya, so the buffers are a lot larger. Also, this is a new clause. You will have to show to your certification body that you have implemented practices to protect the ecosystem health on your operation. So you will have to show that you have a pollinator habitat, insectary areas, wildlife habitat, maintenance of restoration or riparian areas or wetlands or other measures which promote biodiversity. So it is a new clause, and I suspect that this clause will be more detailed when we will do the next review. About seeds, you're supposed to use organic seeds, but sometimes if there is a problem with commercial availability, there is a possibility to use non-organic seed. You will hear, when we will see the permitted substances list, commercial availability means that you have to contact at least 3 manufacturers or distributors of seeds. And if after having knocked at the door of these 3 manufacturers, you cannot find organic seed, then you can use non-organic seed. But still, if you use non-organic seed, well, you cannot use treated seeds except if they are treated with substances in the permitted substances list. Soil fertility. Well, now I think when you start growing organic vegetable, you need to learn about agronomy. Maybe you already know, I suppose, but organic production, it is all about the health of your soil. So you don't feed the plant, it is the soil that the nutrients come from the soil. So you have to maintain or increase levels of soil organic matter, promote optimal balance and supply of nutrients, stimulates biological activity within the soil. So soil health matters very, very much. So I think you have other speakers who will talk about soil health, that you can help with rotation, with cover crops, that you can help with amendments such as manure. So you will read the different techniques, agricultural, these are practices more than techniques. And what is also a little challenging when you grow organic is that now, you know, the new mantra is that tillage is bad because it disturbs the microorganism, it disturbs the aggregates in the soil. So it's better to minimize tillage. But how will you control weeds if you do no tillage? It is, from what I read, it still have to be resolved. But we also read that the research shows that very minimal tillage, lightly at the surface, doesn't disturb very much the soil microorganism and the soil structure. But there are still many studies about this. We'll switch to, okay, so you can use manure from a non-organic farm because manure from organic farms is rare, and especially I think in the prairie, but I don't want to do a false statement here. And there are restrictions about how you apply manure. For example, manure, if you spray manure on your field, it has to be at least 90 days before the harvest of the crop that do not come in contact with soil and are intended for human consumption, or manure cannot be used you have to wait at least, incorporate at least 120 days before the harvest of crops that have edible parts that come into direct contact. So it means that if you grow spinach and salad, it is 120 days. If it is carrots, it is inside the soil, so it is the 90-day requirement. The big thing is about management of crop pests, including insects, diseases, and weeds. That is one of the main challenges when you grow organic crops. There are many tools, many practices, such as crop rotation, use of mulch, cover crop may help, mechanical work, but I think agronomic strategy also matters. So, you know, when the weeds would grow. So for example, if you would start seedlings in your greenhouse and you let the weed grow slowly in the spring, and just before transplanting your seedling, you kill the weeds. So there are a lot of methods. This one is very simple, but if in literature will show you many methods to agronomic, would explain to you the agronomic strategies to fight weeds, but you still have access to some control with substances. So we will switch to the second, I hope it will show, the big document that all producers are looking for. Do you see it on my screen?
I do, Nicole, and I'm just going to jump in and say you have 5 minutes.
Perfect. Permitted substances list. So the list of it is composed of tables. So you have permitted substances list for crop production, permitted substances list for livestock, and for preparation. So obviously, the one we're looking for is permitted substances list for crop production. It is easy to consult. So it is a long list. It runs down on many pages, as you can see, and it is a table with 2 columns. The first columns is the list is for soil amendments, and the second column is for production aids. So for each substance, what is interesting is that you have the name of the substance by alphabetical order, and then you have an annotation describing how you can use it. So first one, acetic acid, sources other than petrochemicals can be used as an adjuvant, a pH regulator, or for controlling pests and cleaning seeds. So this list is descriptive. It includes all the permitted substances list, and and you will it's aquatic plant and plant products, ash, you will biochar that is becoming quite popular, biological organism. There is a long description of compost. There are many other the compost that you can use, compost feedstocks, compost from off-farm sources, compost produced on your farm, the directives for producing compost on your farm, compost tea. So navigating on this list will show you all the substance you can use in crop production. The last problem I would like to talk to you about is that these are substances, these are not brand names. So if you contact a manufacturer and you want to buy a substance, but there is a brand name, sometimes manufacturers, they inside their product, they would add additives or ingredients, to change the texture of the substance, whatever. So when you buy a substance, you have to check the brand name, the acceptability of the manufacturer for the substance. There are resources on if we can, I hope we can go back to the website. Are you on the OFC website again? Or do I have?
Oh, yeah, there we go.
I will go
Yeah,
back.
for sure. Take your time.
So on the website, we have put Canadian directories of brand name input allowed in organic agriculture, because it's you have to learn where to buy inputs. If like you produce your own compost, for sure, but there are substances that you would buy. So some certification bodies such as EcoCert and ProCert, they have a program under which manufacturers can apply, and this certification body will approve the substance. So if we go on ProCert website, you can find the list of the brand names. Is it opening? So it is a full list of brand names for under which where you can buy the substances you want to use in your certified organic operation. It doesn't cover all the brand names because the manufacturers have to pay. It is a lucrative program. But before you use a brand name, it's better to check with your certification body just to verify that the product that you're buying complies with the organic standards. You have also the directory of OMRI Canada. OMRI is an organization based in the United States. They have been active in the American organic sector for years and decades, and they have started a list for Canada. So, but as I said, it's not a list that includes all the brand names that you can buy for amending your soil or as production aids. So what I would like to add as a conclusion is that vegetable production can be very lucrative. I personally know vegetable growers, they are reaching $1 million a year as business. They have diversified production. So you can have a diversified production. You can grow 20, 30 different vegetables. Or I know other growers who would have, they would grow vegetable, they would have, but they would add some livestock to it. So they use manure from their livestock, and it is a real typical diversified operation. We also see a type of very huge, we call this field vegetable. You have acres of the same vegetable. It requires other types of skills. It is less diversified, but there are some businesses who are based on this type of model. But so far across Canada, from BC to Quebec and PI, it is really the diversified vegetable production that is really successful. and these are very good production models. And as a resource, I hope you see, do you see my website, Feed the People, Change the World? There is a market, a gardener from the province of Quebec. It's not because he is from Quebec, but he built a book, and it is translated in 12 languages because he created a model where you can have 2 acres of land, grow vegetable, and still earn a very good living. So it is the Market Gardener Institute. I know there are a lot of other references I don't want to show. I am just showing this to you as an example because it is a model that is becoming extremely popular across the world. So you can also refer to COG, Canadian Organic Growers. They have a lot of documentation about organic vegetable production. Yeah. Do we still have time? Are there questions?
Absolutely. There's a couple of questions, or maybe and a comment. So there was just one technical question. Organic grain farmers need to contact 2 sources of organic seed to meet the standards, and you mentioned 3.
Maybe I don't want to. Maybe this
But
is an internal certification body process.
Oh, okay.
If it is if you know, certification bodies are audited by CFIA, but they are audited by conformity verification bodies. But if it is allowed when they are accredited, that's fine. I cannot comment on that. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. That's good to know. Yeah, no, thank you for that, Nicole. And then there's a comment, and it's a comment on tillage. Very much agreed with Nicole that 0 or reduced tillage is a good way to go in many cases, especially in Western Canada, but it's over tillage, also known as recreational tillage, that is the real problem. It is a well-known fact that long-term 0 till has a negative effect on soil as well, especially nutrient stratification in the top couple of inches, which in turn discourages deeper rooting. A&L's research has shown that tillage, if done strategically and within reason, benefits the soil and does not necessarily have a significant negative impact on soil microbial activity. So, you know, I think what this conversation shows is that there's a lot more research to do.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and I always think that, you know, in organics in particular, we have this, you know, the amazing science cluster program going into the fourth iteration, but there, you know, there's still so much that, you know, that we don't know, or that we may know on our own farms, but don't have, you know, the research to, you know, to verify it. So yeah, so that's that was the last, well, that was the question and the comment, Nicole. So I just want to say thank you again. It was I always find, because standards, you know, to be honest, can be dry, but I always find, I'll just be straight, like, you know, it's like not wanting to do paperwork. But it is, you know, you always make it really interesting and easy to understand and connect to the different aspects of, you know, the program itself. So I really appreciate that. And, you know, I also say that, you know, certification largely is for trust lost in our food system, right? So we have a regulation, we have third-party verification, and everybody is checked along the way annually, right? And that is the strength of that organic seal. So I think as people are wanting to learn more about their food and how it's produced, that's when I feel the organic certification, for all of those reasons, comes into its